Okay, so now I'm going to discuss on another important topic of the cell communication, which is called the adhesion. The adhesion means the binding of one cell with another. Okay, how the cell physically is in contact with one another. So in this case, there are particularly three types of adhesion molecules. One is called cadherin, another one is called integrin, and the third one is called selectin. Okay, so what are these adhesion molecules basically, and how are they functioning in order to connect one cell with another in the physical mode? Let us have a see that how these cell adhesion molecules are. What are these cell adhesion molecules? These cell adhesion molecules are basically nothing but specific type of proteins which require some metallic ions for binding one cell with another in order to maintain the physical contact among the cells. Now there are certain type of bindings. Okay, so let's have a look at how the bindings are happening. Firstly, so we have the cell adhesion molecules. In cell adhesion molecules, the binding that is happening, basically there are three types of binding. The first type of binding what we have is called the homophilic binding, where one particular cell binds with another particular cell in a in a in a similar type of binding molecule, with the help of a similar type of binding molecule. That is, the binding protein that is present here is almost structurally and molecularly same. Okay, so that is called homodimeric binding, and this binding molecule is almost same with this particular cell. This particular type of binding is called homophilic or homodimeric binding. Homophilic binding. Okay, and then we have another type of binding which is called heterophilic binding. In case of heterophilic binding, let us consider again two cells where the binding molecule was similar, right? The binding molecule was similar to each other. And in this case, the binding molecule or the binding proteins are dissimilar to each other. In case of this type of binding, the binding molecules are dissimilar in their structure and conformation. This is called heterophilic binding. Okay, and another type of binding happens, which happens in the presence of a separate kind of linker molecule or a separate kind of protein which acts as an adjacent binder between the first and the second cell. Okay, in this case the binding happens in this way. Suppose these two are the cells. Here these two, these are all the cells. Here this is one binder molecule present, and here another binder molecule is present. Now between these two binder molecules, a separate linker molecule would be present. Okay, this is called linker. This particular molecule present in the middle is called linker. So this type of binding is called linked molecule binding. Unlike these two, here the molecules, the proteins which are helping binding, were present on along with the cell itself. These were present along with the cell itself. But here the two cells are taking the help of a separate molecule, which is a linker, which helps in what? Which helps in linking or attaching these two molecules with each other. Now, this heterophilic binding is done by this particular protein which binds these two cells. These are the heterophilic bind because the proteins are different, somewhat dissimilar or different in their structure or the molecular configuration. This heterophilic binding is being seen specifically in case of the integrin proteins. Integrins. Which is a cell adhesion molecule. This is also a cell adhesion molecule, CAM. Okay. And this homophilic binding is specifically seen in case of cadherins. This is also a cell adhesion molecule. Now this particular integrin molecule, which is nothing but a sort of protein, the cell adhesion molecule is nothing but a sort of protein molecule which helps in basically a kind of protein molecule which helps in binding the physical contact between two cells, so that the cell might communicate, the one cell might communicate with the another cell and help in conveying the message or conveying the signal from one cell to another, in case of any transductory pathway or in case of any stimulation, right? Now what happens here is this cadherin or the cell adhesion molecules which are exhibiting the homophilic binding particularly are calcium dependent. These particular molecules here are Ca2 plus dependent, which takes the help of calcium double positive ions in order to activate itself for this particular binding purpose. And this cell adhesion cadherin molecules with the help of Ca2 plus ions helps in binding the membrane, the cell membrane of the two cells, okay, and convey the message from one cell to another. But in this integrin, in this particular case, what happens? The integrins helps in binding the extracellular matrix, conveying the signal of the extracellular matrix to the extracellular matrix to the particular cell. Okay, that is either it might be intracellular, that is within the cell itself, inside the cell, or to the surface of the cell. Surface or inside, that is intracellular space or on the surface of the cell. So the integrins specifically help in binding the external signaling molecule with the molecules that are present intracellularly or externally outside the cell. So basically integrins are helping in conveying the signal from acting as a relay between the ligand of the extracellular membrane or the extracellular space, and that signal has been conveyed or transferred within the intracellular space. So it's basically a pathway, or it's basically a bridge between the extracellular space and the intracellular space. Okay, so this is how the integrin molecules, the cell adhesion molecules, are functioning in this way. And the cadherins are Ca2 plus dependent. It helps in conveying the message in the intracytoplasmic domain from the intracellular space of one cell to the intracellular space of another cell. Okay, now these cadherin molecules basically are of three types. Okay, N-cadherin or neural cadherin, then E-cadherin or endothelial cadherin, and third one is P-cadherin or placental cadherin. And this another type of cell adhesion molecule is present apart from these two, the cadherin and the integrin, which is known as the selectin. Okay, that particular molecule is called selectin. This selectin molecule is a very peculiar kind of molecule. It helps in only the this molecule also helps in the transfer of the signal from the extracellular domain to the intracellular domain as a bridge, but only helps in a specific type of binding, a selected sort of binding. The selectin molecules are also three types: the L-selectin or leukocyte selectin, then E-selectin are there, that is epithelial, and P-selectin are there, that is platelet selectin. These are the major three kinds of selectin presence, and another one is also present which is optional, that is placental. Placental selectins are very much necessary actually. I must say it's not optional, it's necessary. Why? Because the selectin molecules helps in binding or allow the passage of a particular type of hormone or a particular type of molecule from mother's body through the placenta into the fetus body or the embryo body. Okay, so within this selectin molecules are very much important in that case. And on the other hand, the leukocyte, epithelial and platelet selectins also helps in functioning this. So in the same way, that is, it helps in functioning as a molecule to convey a particular type of signaling message inside the cell from a particular external molecule. Okay, and the integrin molecules almost helps in transferring any kind of external message within the cell. It is a sort of heterophilic binding or heterodimeric binding. And on the other hand, the homophilic binding or the homodimeric binding exhibited by the cadherins, helping signaling the neural, endothelial and the placental cadherins. It also helps in almost most of the type of the cellular physical contact or transduction via these pathways. Right. So this is how the cadherins, integrins and selectins functions, and there are some other types of cadherins present, like ICAM is present. ICAM, that is immunoglobulin cell adhesion molecule. Then NCAM is present. NCAM means neural cell adhesion molecule. Then VCAM is present. VCAM means vascular cell adhesion molecule. Okay, so these are certain other types of cellular adhesion molecules which are basically nothing but proteins, dimers, which helps in the in this ICAM. This ICAM particularly helps in antigen-antibody interaction. Okay, this ICAM particularly helps in antigen and antibody interaction. This NCAM, neural cell adhesion molecule, helps in the synaptic cleft and post-synaptic membrane interaction. On the other hand, the VCAM, the vascular adhesion molecule, cell adhesion molecule, what does it helps? The capillaries the blood capillaries which are present with the ending, the terminals of the blood vessels and arteries, veins and venules, along with the muscle cell or muscle tissues, okay, which are present on the muscle cells or muscle tissues. This vascular cell adhesion molecules helps in functioning to convey any molecule from the the capillaries to the muscle cells, or from the muscle cells to the capillaries. So these molecules are nothing but physical molecules, the physical contact molecules, which helps in maintaining the contact between the physical contact between two different types of cells, or maybe two similar type of cell in different fashion. Okay, so this is how this is all about how the cell adhesion molecules are functioning to convey the transport messages from one particular cell to another through the physical mode, and thereby maintaining the affinity or rigidity between two different kind of cells in different tissues, okay, or might be the same kind of cell within a particular tissue, right?